What up, though? What up, though? This is Detroit Mail with another IOW broadcast episode. However you want to say it. It is a happy Monday, and we are ready for another show. We got an action-packed show. Got a lot of stuff we want to get to, but before that, let's get to those preliminary stuff. If you have not done it, go over to our YouTube channel, and you can like, share, and subscribe. You see everything that we post. For instance, this show here, we go live every Monday and Thursday from 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, we got our homie Nick Shine. The big homie Nick Shine has his own Jets channel. I don't know why, but he has one. And then we have Lamar, who has his own Chiefs channel. That is the Wild Card Chief. And I'll do the No Name podcast. And also, if you are up on the West Coast, or you're just up watching the West Coast game and you just still got your sports itch you want to get on, we have the late night hour with Wild Card Mar. He comes on every Monday through Friday, I believe, at 11 p.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, that might not be Eastern Standard Time because I forgot he is in KC now. So is that Central or Mountain? I get it mixed up. KC
I
time.
think it's Central.
Yeah, Central.
I think it's Central.
Yeah, Central Time. And I think that's everything we got out of the way. What's going on, Aunt? How you doing, bro?
Doing good. Doing good. It's good to be back. Long time
man.
gone.
Good to see you. How's everything?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Vacation was good, so I got the last couple of weeks here before I go to summer camp for football. So,
Hey, man, football season is winding up. We got to get some football talk in, too. So I had decided, every time I host a show by myself or Lamar doing the major leg of the show, I do a little monologue and usually be something that I kind of seen, heard, or discussed with someone else. So earlier today, I was listening to a YouTube channel, and I know the ESPN firing been like a dead horse getting beat over and over again.
mm-hmm.
But two things. One of the things that I noticed from it, and one thing I heard this particular person on their channel that kind of made me want to say something about it was, he kept saying he don't like a lot of politics and that woke agenda that's being spread in ESPN, and that's pretty much why a lot of people are tuning out. Now, here's the thing I want to say about that. I agree with him to a degree because when I turn on anything, if I'm looking at sports, I want to see sports. When I'm looking at a cop show or whatever, I want to see that particular show. Whatever it is, that's what I'm looking to see. However, I think a lot of times when you say, I don't want to see this woke agenda politics, you exclude a lot of things out of that. To me, you can't throw a blanket statement over that. See, what I like to do is I have balance. Like, for instance, when 9/11 happened, you have to talk about it, because it affects everybody. So you cannot just say, I don't want to have just sports. You still have to have some things enter in. I think the problem with ESPN is that they went overboard and everything became this agenda. Everything became an issue. Even when you talk about the George Floyd incident, that was something that you saw affected the world.
Right.
I saw people in Denmark and all over in Europe protesting for that. So to me, you have to bring that up and talk about it. I think the biggest issue with ESPN is people like Malika Andrews, I said it before, who take issues and just go way overboard with it. Everything became an issue. You look at what she did with Ime Adoka. You look how she did with Brandon Miller. You can go down the line. And then you look at the firing. Why does people like that keep her job? Why didn't they get rid of her instead of getting rid of Van Gundy, Jalen Rose, all the people that's actually quality people, David Pollock on the college show, but they went down and they got rid of. No, they kept her in Kendrick Perkins. To me, those two you could got rid of off the bat.
God, bro! I can't with Kendrick Perkins sometimes.
But other thing I think about ESPN, I wanted to point out, and then I'm gonna move on. I'll give you a chance to respond if you want to. Then I'll move on. But is that this is something that I talked about to Lamar about 10 years ago when I saw how sports and everything else, news, everything you could think of was getting big on YouTube. I mean, it got to the point where I would turn on YouTube to get my information before, or social media in general. You
Yeah.
know, stuff for Twitter, sometimes I get from IG.
Mhm.
I would turn on those things first before I even go to ESPN, CNN, and so forth and so forth. And
Mhm.
I said, I think I was talking to him. I said to Lamar, I said, this gonna be an issue 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, whatever the number, I can't remember what I said, but it's gonna be an issue where you're gonna see either these big time networks gonna have to pivot or they're gonna go out of business. And I think now getting Pat McAfee on there is a sign of desperation. That's desperation. But anyway, well, go ahead. What you think about that, Ant?
Yeah. I remember I was coming back from vacation because again I wasn't watching like sports on TV. Like you said, you get your information from a YouTube video
Right,
or your feed on Instagram, Twitter, that kind of stuff. And the issue is that that's a lot more convenient for people than television. People don't want to go on television. Not everyone's sitting down at their house. They're on the move.
right,
And they want to just be able to look, get what they want to hear about the sport real quick, and not hear all the extra stuff
right,
that
right,
comes along with it.
right.
And again, that can go politics aside, just talking about, the straight sports in general. You're watching sports to watch sports. And
Hmm.
like you said, when major events happen that need to be brought up, it gets brought up. But
Right.
for every show, for there to be something where it's talking about black versus white or what's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on, like it causes more um divide than bringing
Mm,
people together. Because like I've said
right.
before, sports is all about bringing people together.
I agree.
People with different background, people
Hmm.
from different beliefs, and everyone could
Right.
be like, listen, I love this sport. Let's talk about it. Let's watch it, and let's
Hmm.
have fun with it.
Right.
So no matter what side of the aisle you end up falling on, it kind of gets annoying, and you don't want to watch it when
Hmm.
you're trying to hear about sports and you hear all this extra commotion going on
Right.
that you don't want to hear. So
Right.
that's why, like you said with social media, I much rather go on to an Instagram, Twitter, or a TikTok slideshow like I do on my channel.
Right.
I get my thing real quick. I see what I want to see. I get my information. I can move on with my life.
Hmm.
I don't have to sit down and hear these, like you were talking about, just people going on and on about nonsense. Like
Right.
I've seen so many clips of Kendrick Perkins bring up things on race when it comes to MVP voting or like
Right.
whatever. Stephen A. Smith said that Dwight Howard uh was on drugs, smoking weed, like joking around for what he said about Jokic
Oh, we're gonna
versus,
talk about that too, but go
him,
ahead.
right?
Mhm.
And then Kendrick Perkins like, oh, only certain people would say that he's on drugs, and I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
just talk about sports and leave things out about it. Because again, like I'm trying to figure out things about sports. Like, I want to hear the debate between Dwight Howard and Jokic. I don't want to hear, people taking shots at groups of people, just
Right.
when we're trying to listen about sports. So I
Right.
agree 100%. No matter which way
Hmm.
it's going, leave sports to sports and leave those things for the major events, not to
Right.
just get attention. Because again, people rather go on social media and get their stuff quick instead of hearing extra stuff that they don't want to hear.
What up, AP? Yeah, I agree, man. But now since I brought that up, we're gonna pivot into a little bit of tennis. So I don't know if you saw that what's that Marta what's her name? Marta Kostyuk and Victoria Azarina had a tennis match. And at the end of the match, it's customary for them to shake hands. And Martina, Marta, I'm not gonna say Martina, but Marta wouldn't shake hands with her.
Mhm.
And for those who don't know, Marta is from um, God, why my mind going blank? God, where they have fighting the war at? God, my mind going blank. Uh, well, Victoria's from Belarus, and Martina is from help me out, and where they fighting the war at over there?
Oh, Ukraine, Ukraine.
Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't remember. Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Ukraine. So here's my thing. And this kind of, that's why I brought the first thing up so we can pivot into this. I can't tell nobody how to feel. You know what I'm saying? I know that's a sensitive subject. I understand if two countries are going at it and in Belarus help Russia to help invade Ukraine. Um, so I know that's a sensitive subject. I mean, I think Marta brought up the fact that, what if it was a German or a Nazi? She just used the particular word Nazi,
Mm.
playing a Jewish person. Would he shake hands with a Jewish person? Now, I can only speak for myself. If I'm playing somebody, I can't really. I'm trying to think how to put it into a scenario, because even if so we know, like, we always make jokes about a lot of southern states being racist, but I can't say everybody from those states are racist. So I was going to use that
Right.
example, but I can't really use that example. But let's put me in that. I put myself in their shoes. If I was a Ukrainian player and I saw another player from Russia or from Belarus, I had to take that person at face value, because we here playing a sport. That person, to me, has no control what their country does.
Right.
You know. Now, if she was spouting those kind of views and she was bagging it up, that's a whole different thing. She came into the tournament directly looking for Ukrainian players, saying, "I'm here as an ally. I'm here to help," and those kind of things. So, like I prefaced my statement before, I can't tell a person how to feel. So I'm bringing it up so we can discuss it as a community. How would we handle it? And for me, I think I had to take her at face value, see what she did. She came in like, gestures and saying, "Hey, I'm here to help. I'm here as an ally, blah, blah, blah. I'm not on what my country on." And I think for me, you had to take that at face value and move on until she show you something different. What say you at?
Yeah, I mean, we don't understand really truthfully, how it feels to be in their situation.
Right,
Everybody has their things, throughout history, because history isn't perfect. History isn't good,
right,
it's not good.
right,
And us as Americans, we don't know how it feels to, see our cities and innocent people being, bombed by a
right,
different country. We don't have that
right,
reality.
right.
So again, I can see 100% why she wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, but I also agree with what you're saying. Like, again, if this person
Mm-hmm.
isn't showing that side, you can't control what other people are doing.
Right.
That's the whole thing. When we talk about 9/11, how Muslim Americans have went under
Mm-hmm.
this kind of
That's a
thing
good point.
because of that.
Right.
And these people, you like, or how Japanese people in World War II.
Right.
It sucks that that's a reality, but sometimes it's just how it is, because of, as people, we want to feel safe. We want to be, um not at a disagreement in a like a war with other people. And
Right.
it's very serious.
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine, has had its history,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to be an independent thing, in Russia, whatever. But I
Right.
you know I don't blame her for not shaking hands. I mean, people don't shake hands just because they don't like somebody
That's
in
true.
American sports.
That's
Like, you know
true.
what I'm saying? We got
That's true.
Draymond Green and Jordan Poole throwing fists at practice,
Right.
and their
Right. Right.
teammates.
Right.
So is it really that bad that she's not doing it? I just think, oh yeah, especially with like Asian community with COVID, things
Yeah, that's a good
happen.
point too. That's a great point.
Things happen. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's not good, but at the end of the day, again, you feel the way you want to feel. And as a Ukrainian citizen, she probably don't feel too fond of people who are Russian. And that's just how it is right now. That's the
Right.
reality of, what's going on.
I agree, and I'm gonna raise this point too. Now, we look you like you had said earlier. We look at sports to be the great unifier, right? This could have been an opportunity, and let me say it for I go down this line of thought. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't blame her for not shaking her hand, because I can't tell you how it feels to be in her shoes. So I'm not. This is just for sake of discussion.
Right.
We look at sports to be the great unifier. Here was an opportunity for show some kind of unification for those groups who are from Belarus, Russia, who not on what Russia's on,
Mhm.
and want to reach out to Ukrainian people, and she could have showed some kind of unity.
Right.
You know, so I just brought it up because I was kind of like, how you see things and different things go through your mind, like, hey, what about this and what about that? And I thought about that, that picture of, because the media ate that up. She shook her hand, they ate
Yeah.
that up, and then that could have opened the door for other players who may be from those countries who feeling kind of like, I don't know how to respond, to kind of bring that unity amongst the players, at least amongst the tennis
Mhm.
community. But once again, like I said, I just brought up for the sake of discussion. I don't blame her for not doing it because, hey, when I listen to her, I listen to both of them talk. I listen to both of their interviews, Victoria's and Marta's, and when I listen to Marta's interview, I felt what she was saying.
Mhm.
I was like, I kind of feel that. I respect that, because we have pride for our countries. We especially when the Olympics come up, everybody down for their country. They waving their flag. Even some people that's here in the U.S. sometimes they wave their country's flag. So
Yeah.
it's time to be. That's the time for you to be proud of your country, or in stuff like this for competition. You represent your country. So I understand that, and then the conflict you're going through. Then I heard Victoria's story, and her what she said, her speech, and she was kind of like, I'm here to help. And the one thing I liked that she said, I don't blame her for not shaking my hand. I understand it. And I thought that was big because she could have took time to be like, you know what? She's being a real punk. We know how people can be. Um, that was wrong that she did not shake her hand based on all races or hate come from. I don't like because you yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't really argue either way.
Yeah, you
You know
see
what I'm
both
saying?
sides of the coin.
I see
There's
both sides of
really
the
no
coin. I
right
can
or
only tell
wrong.
you how I respond, but I understand it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
understand it.
Exactly.
Um, let's move on. So I wanted to bring up. I'm trying to wait because Matt gonna get in here before we get to the NBA topic. So I'm gonna bring
Oh,
up
cool,
this one right
cool.
here. Um, uh, did I? Did you hear about Pat Fitzgerald
No.
from
And
Northwestern? All right, so he just got suspended for 2 weeks, unpaid for this incident. I'm gonna play it right here, and then we kind of discuss it.
University implementing new measures to curb hazing within its football program, including a 2-week suspension of its head football coach, Pat Fitzgerald.
As we mentioned, Anthony Ponce is on assignment tonight and joins us with more on this story live from the Northwestern campus. Anthony?
Yes, Tia. Big shocker in the college football. 2-week suspension going into effect immediately. And this all stems from a whistleblower coming forward with allegations of hazing within the Northwestern football program, which kicked off an investigation past December. This investigation was handled by a former Illinois inspector general who interviewed a number of current and former players, coaches, and staff members. And while the university says all their stories varied from person to person, that the evidence collected, quote, largely corroborated the allegations of that whistleblower. The university and athletic department are keeping the details, though, about what they found confidential.
I kind of want to know more about what it was, like the hazing specifically. But other than that, it's just surprising, I guess, because I didn't really expect it, and I didn't think sports teams did that.
Now, as a result of this, Northwestern and the athletic department are implementing a number of measures to crack down on hazing, including installing an independent monitor in the team locker room to monitor activities in there with no affiliation with the team itself. It's also going to be shutting down the team's training facility up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is believed to have been the location of a lot of this hazing. And also, they're going to be requiring anti-hazing training within the team and installing a hazing reporting tool online for players. Meantime, Pat Fitzgerald did release a statement saying that he was unaware of any hazing within the team and is disappointed.
So there you have it. So when I heard the story, I heard about it a while back when they first started talking about it. Then they brought it back up now when the investigation was finally over with and everything. I'm kind of torn because I participated in it, when I was in school, so I kind of understand it. But as you get older, they say you know better, you do better. You try to it's a fine line. I say that because I know from playing sports, you know, people do it, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying they should do it. People do it, and to try to break that tradition, it's gonna take a lot. I think the university handled it well. They went and did an investigation, and they did a thorough investigation. Even though they found in the investigation that the coaches knew nothing about it, they still did something to make an example. And I'm a big advocate of sometimes you have to make an example of people so it'll be a deterrent for people not to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So what do you do about hazing? Because you hear a lot of people say, "Hey, man, it's just boys being boys," but is it? Because my sister and I talk about this particular thing. Growing up in our house, in our community, we got whoopings, and sometimes if you in a group of people and one person do something, sometimes everybody got whooping, even though you was innocent. You know what I'm saying? That was a part of the culture. I with my kids, I see my kids whipping their kids, and then we start thinking, but is that necessarily right? Is that right? Because we thought it was right. So I'm not saying that I'm innocent of it because I've done it and I was a recipient of it. But then you start looking at different studies about how it affects the psyche of a child, how it affects a relationship of trust when they get older. There's a lot of factors that goes along with it. And I know some people say, "Well, I got whipping and it didn't affect me the way I did." But you gotta look at it like this. You can take two people, you can take two siblings who lived in the same house, experience the same tragedy, and it still affect both of them different.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with with whoopings and stuff like that. When you talk about that and you say, "Well, it didn't affect me the way this particular report said," doesn't mean it doesn't affect you. It might affect you in ways you don't even realize. So now bring that into the hazing part. You don't know how it affect that person being hazed, because the person getting hazed is going to try to show a strong face because it's that masculine. I got to be strong. I can't show I'm weak.
Right.
So you're going to take it, but you in the back of his mind, it may be doing something to him. So I don't want to do all the talk. I'm gonna let you talk, and I respond to what you said. So what do you think about that, Ant?
I mean, again, there's a fine line with everything. Like even with the whoopings, people would say it's right or wrong, but I think that things like that, like, shows consequence at a young age for
Okay.
your actions.
Okay.
I was whooped a little bit when I was younger too. My dad's a former Marine. He's strict, but he
Yeah.
never did it to where it was over the top and harmful
Mm-hmm.
to me. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's always a fine line with something.
Okay.
There's people who use it for discipline, and then there's
Mhm.
people who have said that they were abused by their parents.
Right.
So again, there's things that are a fine line.
Okay.
And again, I've heard things when it comes to hazing. Like, there's hazing, and then there's like you said, boys will be boys. Like, if there's something going on where it's hazing and it's that over the top shit, like,
Right.
I got no type of sympathy. Like, people who do that shit should be given the best the worst punishment that you can give that person,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not right. I remember in an area where I live, in New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
they had a hazing incident like back a while ago, but it was like the one where it makes your stomach sick kind of hazing.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's like if something like that happens, something's got to get taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like what you said, it's a good sign what they did, the investigation, they went through it,
Mm-hmm.
and that they're making an example,
Right.
out of the head coach. Because again,
Mhm.
even if the head coach don't know about it, head coach, that's his program. He
Yeah,
got
you
to
should
be on
know.
top of this stuff.
You gotta know.
And again, I'm playing a sport, obviously in college now.
Mm-hmm.
People who are living on campus, 'cause I commute, but people who are living on campus, they got their own lives. They're gonna do shit that the coach don't know about.
Yeah.
Coach don't know everything that's going on.
Correct.
But when it's something this serious, as a school, you want your program to be held accountable
Mm-hmm.
and to not have these things going on. So I think a 2 week suspension is good.
Yeah, I
To
think
just be like, listen, like, something will happen,
Mm-hmm.
and you might ruin it for your coach. Because again, when you're in college and you're a coach, that's your job. Like
That's your job.
they're supporting your family by being a
Mhm.
coach.
Right.
So for him to be suspended without pay, that's like, all right, that's serious.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
didn't know nothing about it. So imagine what will happen to a player who was doing that to another player.
Right.
Legal action. Obviously suspension or expulsion from school and football.
Mhm.
Like a lot will happen if the head coach who had nothing to do with it is not getting paid. You know what I'm saying? That's his job. So,
Right.
like you said, I think it's good that they're handling it and making an example. Because again, you could be all talk. You could be barking. All
Mhm.
bark no bite. Like,
Right.
oh yeah, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. Nothing happens. And this was an example of, all right, the minute we did our investigation, we're not even saying nothing. You're getting hit with the penalty.
Mhm.
It's gonna show people like, listen, this has got to cut out. And I hope it's an example to other people around the
Right.
country. Because again,
Right.
this is only just one school that
Right.
something came up of. And especially like with fraternities and stuff like that, like
Mhm.
the amount of hazing that goes on is like sickening
It's
on college
crazy,
campuses. Like, you know
man.
what I'm
It's
saying? I'll hear
crazy.
stories from people who it was their first time at a college party and they met somebody and they told them stories about what happened. And I hear
Mhm.
these stories. It happened last month. I was at work and I heard the story from someone I know that like they heard something that happened, and I'm like, dude, like it don't even sound real. Like
Right.
why
Right.
is this even happening? Like it's not even
You think some
like
out of movie or something?
yeah, like in your right mind, you're like as a human being who has a brain and thinks,
Mhm.
why? Like it makes no sense. So
Yeah.
I hope that this is a very serious situation that justice is brought for this person who was hazed because it's not right.
Yeah. A couple things too to add. One, they said it was one of the hazing. They didn't say all of it. Some of a sexual nature. They didn't say what it was, so it's kind of hard to make a assessment. What do you mean by that? Because
Right.
that could mean a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
But anyway, why would to me hazing should never go to that level anyway?
No.
Period.
No.
And I remember in high school, man, they just have freshman Friday, and like when the freshmen come in, they just terrorize them for. Sometimes it was a month. Sometimes it all depends on how they felt. Now,
Hmm.
only thing about me, I always look older, so they never thought I was a freshman. So I never really got the terrorizing part. But I remember seeing like they put one guy in a trash can and rolled it down the stairs, and it was a lot of crazy stuff going on. You looking like, wow, and but that was a tradition that everybody knew about. Like I was in middle school, I heard about it. When you get to high school, they got freshman Friday. So
Hmm.
it was something that you knew about that was gonna happen. And then you play sports. You got stuff where you put stuff in people's locker,
Right.
hit somebody with a wet towel, stuff like that. Hey, it's that right there don't bother me. But I think when you get to a point where you physically abusing somebody,
Yeah.
stuff like that, I think you're taking it too far.
Hmm.
And so in Northwestern too, some of the provisions they put in, they got an independent monitor in the locker room. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I think it's a good thing. That I'm like, I don't know. Because now you got this person constantly there while you trying to conduct business, and it's like, okay, you in the way. You know what I mean? I don't
Hmm.
know how it's gonna work out, so I can't really speak on until I see how it work out. They close the facility in Kenosha. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Now, here's the thing I think is BS because they do it all the time and it's always BS. And the anti-training thing, that's the biggest load of garbage there is. I know because I work in corporate and they make you take these anti-training, and most
Right.
of these cookie cutter. A lot of
Right.
times it's on the computer. You answering questions, and usually it's not a test. It's kind of like you get it wrong, you can go back and take it again. So
Yeah.
it's not like you
Exactly.
really learn anything. To
Right.
me, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying. And people don't take it serious because you're not in a you're not in a way that you got to be accountable for. It's kind of like, okay, I checked the boxes.
Right.
Let's get back to work. And then they need to find a new way how to educate people on certain things without doing this online training and stuff like that. I think to me that's the biggest waste of time it is. I think that's just a media ploy to put in there. Say, hey, look, we train them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like that. And then the online hazing reporting tool, I like that because it gives you a degree of anonymity.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be quote unquote exposed to, hey, he the one telling, nah, here comes retaliation.
Yeah.
Or she the one telling, here comes retaliation. So I do like the online hazing tool. I think that's a good measure. Only thing I wish they would change is and I'm on the outside looking in, so I don't know exactly how they're gonna do it. But from what I understand, from what I experience, is that training. Please make the training where it actually is effective. The online stuff is garbage.
Yeah, no, I agree. I remember like in high school, we would have like people come talk. You take the thing on the computer, and people goof around the whole entire time.
Yeah,
At the
right.
end of the day, and again, it's nothing as serious as this. It's just like the normal things that you would go through in high school. You know, the seminars, people come in and talk.
Yeah.
I'm saying even with that, like if someone wants to do something wrong, they're gonna do it. What is anti this or that gonna do to stop
Great
someone
point.
from
Great
doing
point.
something? You know,
Right.
it's like I'm gonna click a couple buttons to get on my way. It's nothing that will actually prevent um that from happening.
You bring up a great point, Ant. I like that because you
Yeah,
have to deal with the person that's actually doing the inflicting the pain or whatever it is. You have to deal with that person and actually deal with what's going on with that person. Because if I don't see myself as wrong, what's my sentence to change?
right.
You know, I can play the role because people say, well, hey, they can kick out team. Well, I play the role to stay on the team. I'm
Hmm.
not changing,
Right.
you know. So my thing is like I believe in all levels of sports, you are training men, boys to be men, girls to be women.
Hmm.
I think in all levels. But as you go, at higher you go, the more that training should increase because now you're getting closer to adulthood.
Right.
And I think that we spend so much time away from our household as individuals. When you are a child, you spend more time in school than you do at home.
Hmm.
You know, when you get into sports, that's even more time taken away that you away from home. Because if you go to school 7:32, whatever it is in high school, whatever, then you go stay after school for sports. Sometimes you don't come home 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
You
during
know,
football this year for winter lifts, I was getting up 5:30,
right?
getting the lifts. I was there in the morning, then I had classes and everything. There were days where wasn't getting home till 3, 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
You know, like you're at school. Your environment really shapes you, and that's why
yeah.
they try to install these things to help. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, you're for the most part, you're a product of your surroundings.
Yes.
And if you're not, because not everyone has the same home situation where they're taught
Mm-hmm.
the right thing from wrong thing,
Right.
and that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that they're at least you have to try. At the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day,
Yeah,
you can try to do
that's
your
key.
best to help.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I agree with you 100%. That online stuff isn't going to do nothing. We had this thing this year. The NCAA made it a requirement for football players.
Mm-hmm.
There was this story about this rape that had happened. I think it was I forgot what school. I don't want to say the wrong school to get the school bad rep.
Okay.
I forgot what school it was.
Okay, that's fine.
But this
Mhm.
this this woman was with her friend, goes to this party, and basically the friend she was with goes off with her boyfriend to the other part of the apartment, and these four dudes had drugged her, done these things,
Mhm.
and it was this big thing in the news at that point in time when it
Right.
happened. And this girl goes around and basically tells her story, and she's basically in tears every time she tells it.
Mhm.
So the requirement was we had to sit down and we had to watch this documentary.
Mm.
And why I think that is more like effective is because it hits a spot in your heart to see
Mhm.
somebody tell their story and to really show the emotion, stuff like that. Sitting behind a computer screen and me answering trivia questions
Right, right.
isn't going to be as effective as me hearing
Right.
somebody's story and them trying to tell you a message. So I
Right.
would think that something in person or a video like that. Like I remember I was sitting there with my boys. We heard we had to watch something. We're like, oh,
Mhm.
whatever, we have to watch it. And by the time we left, we were like, damn, like that is crazy to hear about. It was like something out of a movie, like we were just
Right.
talking about. Like it was like out of a movie. Like that's ridiculous. But this to see, and she has like this whole foundation now, and they do all this
Mm.
stuff. So it was like really impactful on everybody to actually watch a documentary and a video about it because you're able to resonate. You're able
Right.
to feel that human compassion that you have for another person. Instead of like you said, if there was people who didn't get caught who were involved with the hazing was to just take this trivia, you
Mhm.
think they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I was the guy who hazed them.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
they're gonna play the
yeah.
role, answer their questions, and do it because they know they were wrong in the first place. They know what not to do, but they did it. So I don't think a trivia is gonna help them online. That's not gonna do nothing.
I agree, man. I agree. Let's pivot to the NBA because we got a lot to get to on that too. So we're gonna start with the Dwight Howard ridiculousness. So if you haven't heard,
I'm gonna grab a charger real quick. Just
go ahead. If you haven't heard, Dwight Howard pretty much said in his prime, he would have been better than Jokic is now. He said he would have been a better player, was a better player in his prime. So Steve, I think Ant May mentioned earlier about Steve. Stephen A has said, "Stay off the weed." Yeah, I hate it pains me in my heart. I agree with Steve, man. That's that's crazy for Dwight Howard to say. I don't know if Dwight Howard's looking for clout. He out here clout chasing, trying to be relevant. Because if you go back, I'm trying to think, did I write down his numbers? But anyway, I can't remember if I wrote them down, but I do remember the Joker shoots like 82% from the free throw line. In Dwight Howard's career, he shot 58%. So just at the free throw line, you already losing.
Oh, offensively, it's not even the same. They're not even in the same conversation. Offensively,
defensively, you can say Dwight Howard was a rim protector. I give him that.
Mm-hmm.
Great on defense, but on the can of offense, he had a jump hook, spin move, alley-oop. That was it. That was the end of his repertoire. That was it. A 3-trick pony. That was it.
Right.
And you fouled him. You played the hack and shack with him, get him on the line. You pretty much, good at he gonna miss the free throw.
Right.
So you look at Joker, like him or love him, you cannot deny he's a way better player than Dwight Howard was, and never could have been.
Yeah. It's not even a debate.
It's not even a debate. Opinion. I don't understand. Like I said, he had to be just clout chasing. It had to be.
Oh yeah. Well, you saw him posting the things with come to Taiwan. Everybody's the playoffs. He's not in the media like he was no more. He's not playing in America.
Right.
It's obviously something that, and again, he might believe because again, you have self-confidence in yourself as a player.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like you said, Dwight Howard. It was like something. It was like Dwight Howard's made 22 threes his whole career, and Joker's in like the 500s, whatever it was. Because Steve was bringing it up. Dwight Howard couldn't shoot. Jokic can shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Dwight Howard can't facilitate. Jokic can facilitate. Jokic has also now won a championship and has 2 MVP. Should have been 3.
Right.
So Jokic is nowhere done playing, and his resume is already better than Dwight.
Right.
Like aside from maybe the defensive player of the years or whatever.
Dwight might have been faster. That's about it.
Yeah, it's not
quicker.
The same.
Let me say quicker.
Yeah. I mean, he's more athletic, but that was his game. He was athletic, but and like I say about Jokic is, I mean, you would look at Jokic and laugh at him play because he looks so clumsy.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's so good at basketball. He is good at basketball. He's not athletic. Right. He has nothing in his game that gives him an edge physically. But I mean, he's tall, but he doesn't have. He can't jump out the gym. He can't outrun people. His footwork isn't crazy to where he's just gonna, make a move and get by you. He doesn't have a quick first step.
Right.
He is a great basketball player and a smart basketball player.
Right. That's
so
key.
To me, someone like that is automatically better than someone who just dunks on people. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what Dwight Howard was. He was. Again, he was like a Walmart Shaq. Like he would just go up and dunk on people.
Right.
And Dwight Howard was great in his prime. So don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on Dwight, but Jokic is a far more complete basketball player and has already won more than Dwight has.
Yes, already. And he just started.
Yeah, exactly.
He just started. I don't know, man. I think that when you look at these players like Dwight Howard and stuff like that, and they get to where they're not relevant anymore, they try to find ways to be relevant. But to my thing is like this, man. It's this thing. And when you talk about argumental fallacies, now I'm trying to remember the name of it, but basically it's kind of like when you survive something, you think that everybody that went through what you went through survived because of what you did. I'm trying to think of the name of the fallacy, but it's kind of like you get nostalgic about what happened, you know, and you don't realize that there was so many people that came through, that didn't make it. It's this guy, Abraham Wise, I think his name was, and he so they had these planes that was getting shot down. I think it's during World War II. And when the planes came back, you know, they reinforced where the bullet holes was. So Abraham said, no, we need to inspect the part where it wasn't any bullet holes, because the place where it wasn't any bullet holes was the planes that got shot down. So in other words, you know, we our minds are fixated on the obvious thing, or what we think things are nostalgic wise, but it wasn't like that. I think the Dwight Howard's mind was, he thought he was a one way back in the past, but he wasn't what he thought he was. Now that's not crapping on him. He was a great player for what he was. But when you open yourself up to these kind of discussions and you put yourself up to someone that's better than you, then you got to take the criticism that come with it. You know, if you never said anything, it's like, okay, whatever. But now you said it. This is a criticism. You was a good player for the skills that you had, but you're not better than Jokic. And then you put it this way: it's very few players that's from the past that compete with present players because of the time change. People get better. And if you look at the athleticism of Howard compared to Jokic, but Jokic still has an all-around better game. So that still shows you more improvement from the past to the present. You know, sometimes he ain't the best to look at, but he effective what he have. And I think that to me, being mentally smart and about your game goes a long way. Because when you get older, all the athleticism goes. But one thing doesn't go as fast as your mind.
Right.
And that help you play longer. Yeah, I wanted to bring that part up before we got into the summer league and all that stuff, because I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, that's like the uncle who says we didn't get hurt, he'd be in the NFL. You know,
Yeah,
the
right.
party. Like, you know, it's that kind of thing.
For real. So I'm trying to think where I want to start, because I mean, I think we get on the obvious one. We'll probably go on that for a while. So let's just look at some of the people that did well. OKC got a good player in case of Wallace. I think he's gonna take some development, but he looked pretty good for a couple of games I seen him playing. Scoot Henderson got hurt, but a little bit I seen, he looked like he may be all right. Same with Ahmad Thompson. You know, they got hurt. He looked pretty decent though. I like what the Pistons got too. I mean, I think what Weaver's doing over there, Troy Weaver doing over there, and everything. You know, I talked to a friend yesterday, back home. Man, I don't understand what the Pistons doing now. I said, man, just give it some time. You know, I think you got. I think the Joe Harris move is the way just to absorb that contract, move it off the books, and you have more money to deal with next year. So don't worry about that. And I think when you look at the young core, that's what you need to look at. I saw the way the other Thompson brother Asura played. He looked pretty good. You know, do you got Kate Cunningham, who haven't been staying healthy? You got a good backup for him. Duran looks good. I like Wiseman actually looked pretty good this year. I mean, now granted, for a full disclosure, we know it's summer league. You know, so but that's the eye test we have right now. So we got to go off what we can see. Summer league. But Wiseman and Duran look good, like a good tandem out there. And then and Jalen Ivy look good. So I think they got a good young team to build around. I think if Charlotte get a few more pieces, that may be the next team out the East you gonna have to look for. You know, I think with Jordan leaving, they might get some better management and be able to build that team that they should around Melo, Bridges. I think they have some of the young players I seen them play in the summer league. They might have a good team in a couple of years to come. What did you see in the summer league? Or did you see some in the summer league?
Yeah, I did. I did watch some of the summer league, and
Okay.
then got some Instagram and that kind of stuff.
What do you think? What do you see that? We'll get to the obvious one in a minute, but outside of that, what did you see that you like or didn't like?
For me, I'm a Thunder fan, so
Okay.
I'm liking where we're going. Chet looks pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a big thing that we didn't have last year.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm looking at it, and for how young we were and not having Chet, to be in the play-in, like that was a success for me. For me personally, as a Thunder fan, because like, listen, we're young, very young,
Mm-hmm.
and we got a lot of picks and a lot of things. So to see these young players playing so well, listen, I got no complaints. I know that we're, an in progress kind of thing, but I think in the
Right.
next couple of years, it gets to the point to where, you know what I'm saying, we are getting to this,
Yeah.
playoffs with this young core. We got 17 picks in the first round over how many years?
Yeah.
Let's
That
get a
look good.
veteran. Let's go get somebody, then put us over the edge. So I like where we're at with that.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I didn't like,
Okay.
and it's just me.
Uh-huh.
I'm not listen, I don't think MJ's the GOAT, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to sound like I hate on MJ because I favor LeBron.
Okay.
But he hasn't done too well building rosters and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw he picked Brandon Miller, I was kind of like, all right, whatever. I figured they would have took Scoot.
Right.
And, I think it might come back to bite him a little bit. Not going to overdo anything because it is a summer league, right?
Right.
But Brandon Miller has not played well. I saw a thing, and it was like he had less points than fouls because he had like 8 fouls. Again, I don't want to overdo nothing, but I feel like that's something that some people are really going to bring up in the season. To where if Miller don't pan out or just don't have a good year, that I think MJ is just going to catch a lot of heat for it because having the number 2 pick,
right,
and with your team being the way it is, and you have LaMelo with his big contract. I mean, I can see why maybe you don't take Scoot for the positional kind of, the length. You take
right.
Brandon Miller is a longer player. But in the age of basketball we're entering now, with the positionless basketball, like you take best available in most cases, unless you're really looking for one specific position.
Right.
Like
if you don't have any height, you gonna get height. But if if you have a pretty decent roster, do you get the best available player?
Right.
Because you can move them around and you play small.
Exactly.
You play small ball, whatever. Yeah. So I agree with you on that.
So I just want to see how it ends up panning out. Because again, it's summer league. You got dudes who go off in the summer league, don't make a roster, and then you got dudes who don't do as well. Like Wimbanyame, first game didn't play well. He's like, I got to get used to it. Drops 27 the next game that I know we're gonna get into.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. But go ahead. Since you brought it up, go ahead.
Yeah. So the summer league, it's great to see. Just players, get acclimated to the pace of the NBA. Again, for like Wembanyama's sake, the rules are a lot different. FIBA from the NBA. So I like the summer league, but I think people need to also understand that a lot of them are rookies, people who weren't on a roster last year,
right,
and people from the G League,
right.
So you have to at times take the summer league with a grain of salt because you're not playing the best of the best.
Right.
I remember I saw this thing where Anthony Edwards was like, if I was able to play in the summer league in 2020, I would have killed all these dudes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like you got guys who you like again, Zion in the summer league. Everyone saw Zion in the summer league like, oh my gosh, he's just gonna do this all day. And again, he played well in the NBA. It translated,
right?
But now he's not even on the court.
No,
so it's like you gotta take some of this with a grain of salt.
Right.
But to bring up Wimbanyama, I think what he brings on the court, he's just too tall, bro. Like, how do you contest this shot? How do you contest this shot? Like, I see him shooting, and I'm like, the dude's hands aren't even by his eyes to where you can block it.
Yeah.
And the dude is right next to him. If he's able, like, he brings so much spacing, but he also brings a presence around the rim. I think he had 5 blocks the one game.
Yeah.
The putback dunks. Like, if he's able to stay healthy.
Jump.
Exactly. Like, he can be such a good player if he just stays healthy. Because, again, like I brought up Chet. Chet put on
Mhm.
like 13 pounds from the off season.
Right.
Wimbanyame puts on some weight, puts on some muscle, and he stays healthy. We don't have an instance where it's like Yao Ming or like
Mhm.
Porzingis was for a little while. These taller,
Right.
skinnier players. Yao Ming wasn't skinny, but these taller players.
Mhm.
He's gonna be great. Like there's really no denying it because of again, he's not slow.
No.
He's very skilled. He's like Jokic in the way that he's a big man who's very skillful handling the ball,
Mhm.
passing the ball offensively. So to me, the sky's the limit for him. I mean, I'm really excited to see him play this year. I just think it's exciting. I think this year in the NBA is going to be a very exciting year with everything going on.
All right, here's what I say. When I looked at the first game, I was like, "Oh, here we go," you know. And I did take it with a grain of salt, because I knew it was first game. I knew that, the summer league and everything. Well, here's one thing you know about me. I don't just look at stat line stuff like that. I look at how you look on the court. In that first game, he looked like a deer in headlights. He was getting the ball ripped from him. He was falling. I'm like, oh, this don't look good. So even with Brandon Miller, he still, he's missing shots, he still looked fluid. You know what I mean? He looked. You see, okay, when he gets a shot down, he gonna be all right. So
Right.
I
That's
wasn't
why
worried.
I'm not really worried that much about him because again,
Right.
like there's a lot of adjusting that comes into
Right.
and confidence. Brandon Miller, they haven't played basketball
Mhm.
competitively for a while now. Now that college
Right.
is over.
So when I watching Wimbanyame, I was like, I don't see that. So in the second game, he looked better. So I will say that here's the thing I would say about Victor. He's in the best place he can be. He got drafted to the best place he could get drafted. I think if he got drafted anywhere else, he would be a mediocre player at best. Because I think that he showed that some of the things that we give him credit for. I mean, it comes with his height. I mean, he tall. You 7'4". You're gonna block shots.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You gonna get certain shots because, like you said, who's jumping to block that? Even the guys that can jump out the gym, they have to jump pretty far just to get to the ball.
Right.
So it's gonna be harder to block a man's shot that's that tall. So
Right.
some of those things is not really skill as much as the advantage he has of being tall. Now you do have to have some skill because Manu Bo wasn't that skilled. You know what I'm saying? And he has the height. So I'm not saying he don't have any skill, but I think with putting on weight and Popovich being his coach and really can work on his weaknesses and develop him, I think he can make him a good player. I think if he went somewhere else, you wouldn't be talking about him as much. I think he's in a great position where he's at. That first game had me scared. You know what I'm saying?
I saw the stat line and I'm like, oh wow. I didn't watch it live. I just saw it on my phone. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I watched the replay of it, and I was just watching. Like a couple times, he turned to the basket, fell. He got ripped. He made a few good passes and stuff, but just like some of the things he was doing, I was like, "Ooh, it didn't look coordinated." That's the only thing I was worried about. He just didn't look. He looked like the fresh deer coming out and legs be wobbly.
Yeah. Gonna learn how to walk.
Right. He looked like that.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to put on some weight because he haven't faced Joker. He hasn't faced people that's gonna go in there and move him around. Because of his weight. Yeah, you got height. But I'm 5'8". I just play basketball all the time. And they be guys always taller than me. And I always get the rebound because I was always wide and I can move people out of the way. I can box them out and get the ball. So my thing is you have to put on some weight and have good footwork, be able to keep people from moving you out of the way and just pushing you around. And when it comes to like getting those boards and stuff like that. Some of you gonna get automatic because you just tall. Some of the putbacks you're gonna get automatically just tall. But I think with Popovich being his coach, it's gonna help develop him. So I mean, like you said, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. Because I just think he's a victim too of the hype.
Yeah.
When Woj was talking about he the best prospect since LeBron James, like, hold on, man, pump your brakes. No matter what you can say what you want about LeBron, whether you like him or love him. I went back and watched his debut. He looked like he'd been in the league forever. I think he scored like 25 points.
Yeah, it's
It was like, wow, this kid was 19 or 18 or
Right.
19.
He never played professionally.
Never
He came right from playing high school.
Came right from high school. Garnett even looks fluid and like he belonged when he came from high school.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? So pump your brakes on that best prospect since LeBron James. Let the man develop into the player he's gonna be, and he can set his own legacy.
Yeah, but that's just sports media now. It's the overreaction for
Yeah.
clicks. Again, when you look at it at
Mhm.
face value and you're like, okay, 7'1" or how tall is he? Is
I
he
think
7'1"?
7'4".
Oh, 7'4", my fault. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's really
7'4".
tall.
Yeah.
7'4", handles, shoots, block shots,
Mhm.
and he's playing professionally. Like, yeah, the greatest prospect, but there's been a lot of great prospects.
Right.
And for me, people to say that he's a better prospect than LeBron was, I think it's ridiculous. Because when LeBron was coming out, like he was interviewed and saying, "If you aren't the greatest player of all time, you're a bust." Like what? Like,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
he's 19 years old. That's
Right.
like if I went to the league right now and I
Mhm.
was told that. Like it's not normal. Like
Right.
LeBron's hype and now his career that he actually lived up to. I
Mhm.
mean, those expectations. It's very one of a kind. And
Yeah.
again, they were calling Zion the best prospect.
Mhm.
Zion
Let me
hasn't.
say this though, and if Zion would stay healthy,
Oh yeah,
I think
100%.
he would have. So I think because a lot of people crap on him, and I'm like, yeah, but you didn't really get a chance to see what he can do because he ain't been healthy.
Oh no, trust me, I'm a big dude on Zion. Like I actually
Right.
took him in fantasy this year for basketball
Mhm.
because I thought he was going to be healthy. Because
Right.
again, when he's healthy, he's averaging what 30 points,
Something like that.
how
Yeah.
many rebounds, whatever. No
Yeah.
one's doubting his skill, but again, the best ability is availability, and if you're not on the court,
Mhm.
you can't bring anything to your team.
Right.
But like they said, Zion, there's a lot of prospects that have come
Mhm.
out that are very impressive. And just because you're not 7'4" and you can shoot and stuff like that, like, there are other great prospects.
Oh yeah.
But like you said, sometimes in sports, it's like people put so much pressure on
Mhm.
young players, and it's like, dude, you can't expect people who are so new to this to just step in and be amazing. Like, not everybody's like that. Again,
Right.
like they're going up against amazing best players in the world.
Right.
You can't just expect them to step in and be the best. Like that's why I hate when people are like, "Oh, this person's a bust in year 2 or he's a bust in year 1 because he didn't play." Like I'm like, you got to let these players pan out. That's what people were saying with, like Trevor Lawrence
Yeah.
his first season. I'm like, situation, bad coaching, bad
Mhm.
culture right now established, and had a great team.
Even with Trevor Lawrence though, man. Here's my thing. I think you have to watch what the person does. What I mean by that is like you saw the ability there with Trevor Lawrence. Like you
Mhm.
go to Ryan Leaf. You didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? You didn't see it. There's a difference between when you see like someone gets on the field and you see like the skill there, but say like for instance, you see him read the defense, throw the right pass, but he might overthrow it. That's an adjustment. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That can be fixed.
Mm.
You see him maybe run out the pocket a little too quick. That's an adjustment. That could be fixed. See, it's little things that you can tell that can be fixed. That's not having to do with his skill level versus like people like Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf and the greatest bust you can go down the line and talk about who didn't show those abilities where you say, okay, they are a bust.
Right.
And I think that's the difference. I think a lot of people they want to see, since we talking about Trevor Lawrence, he wants to see him throw 5 touchdowns in the game. You know what I'm saying? Then they say, "Oh, he's a great player." Look at um Herbert. First year, that's all you was talking about.
Mhm.
He haven't lived up to the first year yet.
Right. Yeah.
I still don't say he's a buzz, but
No.
but at the same time, you can't go by you know certain things. I mean, he has a lot of factor in his situation,
Right.
injury, coaching.
Mhm.
You can go down the line with him, but I'll use that as an example of showing two different sides of the spectrum. I knew Trevor Lawrence had it.
Yeah, you could tell that he had
You
it.
could tell
just
that
from
he had
watching
it. And I know Herbert, if he gets in the right situation, he'll get it. And you know, and
Mhm.
especially in the division he play in, and that division gonna make him better.
Yeah.
So he's in a good situation because he get the right coach, you know, the right pieces around him.
I mean, he has weapons all up and down that offense,
Yeah,
especially
he
this
does now.
draft. Like,
He
wow,
does now. Yeah.
three good receivers and Austin Eckler. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what more can you ask for? Yeah,
You
I
know.
like Herbert when it comes to, again, you look at the talent. You
Mhm.
can tell Herbert's got it.
Right.
You can tell dudes like Lawrence got it.
Mhm.
And there's some dudes you can tell don't have it. That's like when Anthony Bennett was
Yeah.
picked #1. Like,
Yeah.
you got to the point where you're like, all right, this dude's not gonna he's not gonna turn it around. You know,
Right.
he's not gonna just up and be amazing, you know.
Right.
So I think people have to realize that sports is not just so much as, yeah, I'm playing a sport. There's a lot of things, and especially football,
Mhm.
where situation, your team, your coaching,
Mhm.
there's a lot to. Because again, we saw the Jaguars go from bottom of the league last year to getting Doug Peterson
Yes.
and winning the playoff game against the Chargers, where they make a crazy comeback,
Mhm.
and then they almost beat the Chiefs.
Right.
So it's like, listen, that's 1 year. That's a 1 year difference just because of the culture and the coaching change.
Mhm.
Their roster didn't change that much.
No, it didn't.
Like, they didn't have Calvin Ridley last year. He was suspended.
Right.
So it's like now you have Calvin Ridley this year. We'll see. You know, that's what I'm saying. Sports right now, there's a lot of storylines in especially football and basketball.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it'll be a very good year this year for both sports.
Speaking of storylines, so now the NBA is introducing the in-season tournament.
I seen that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know, man. So I'm gonna let what's my man name? Can't think of his name. Richard Jefferson explain it to you because you know I'm gonna let him explain it to you. When I first heard about it, I was like, what is he talking
I
about?
was so confused.
I was very confused, bro. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I don't know, man. So I'm gonna say this before I play the video. If I can figure out how to play it.
I need to
Oh.
watch this again so I can say what I'm going to say because I was so lost when I first watched it.
Yeah,
I need to
I
watch
want
it
I'm going to watch it again because they're saying it. And I was like, okay, what is he talking about? All right. Make sure I got the screen playing. There we go.
All right, everybody. The NBA first ever in-season is now official. This. First up is group play. All 30 teams will be split into 6 groups, 3 from the East, 3 from the West, with a random draw based on last year's regular season records. Each team in a group plays each other 1 time, a total of 4 games, 2 at home, 2 on the road. 1, 2, 3, yeah. Now, those games happen Tuesdays and Fridays in November, so set your calendar. Basically, these regular season NBA games also count as tournament games. Now, in each group, the team with the best group play record after those 4 games, they're moving on. The team with the next best record in each conference goes to the wild cards. Always watch out for the wild cards. Now we get to the knockout round. 8 teams, single elimination, and you know what that means. Win and move on, or lose, and you're out. And the last 4 teams standing, guess what? You're headed to Vegas, baby. That's right. In Las Vegas, the semifinal battles will get us to the championship game on December 9th. 2 teams in a winner-take-all final to be named champion and be awarded the first ever NBA Cup. Come on now. Look, there's a lot to look forward to this season. Players on new teams, rookies new to the league, and teams just looking to make some noise. And the NBA in-season tournament is going to be a can't-miss, must-see, high-stakes, high-level competition. And if you're a hoops head just like me, I promise you, you're going to love
it. I don't know.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
So I guess what I'm seeing is like, so the first half of the season is the tournament, basically. Because if the
Yeah, when does it
final game is
start?
in December, I think it starts at the beginning of the season. The way it make it sound like.
When is November? So when is when
Yeah.
does a regular season start? Around then, right?
Yeah, no, the regular season start like in the. Is it? Cause I'm trying to think. Well, I take it back. The preseason is like August, September, something like that. So I think
Yeah.
at the
So
end of September, the regular
October.
season start.
They'll have a couple. They'll probably have like 10, 15 games played maybe before.
Yeah,
Not a lot. It's still in the beginning
yeah,
of the year. I
yeah. Still
just
the
don't
beginning.
get the incentive for teams to even want to win the first ever, what do you say, NBA Cup? I don't
Yeah.
understand.
So is it just for bragging rights? See, like,
Like,
okay, if it's like baseball, where you can like, okay, if the National League win and get home field advantage in the All Star game, something like that, I can see that. But if I'm just playing for a cup,
yeah, like I'm gonna win the NBA Cup and miss the playoffs just because I
right?
was hot at the right time. Like, I don't know. It like if there's no incentive, if there's no like I don't know, boosted draft pick,
Yeah, something.
dollar amount given to the franchise to use for free agency or something like that, or
I like that.
bidding rights on a player if you
Yeah.
win. Like, I, I mean, that would be good. I would want to play for that. If I'm a player or a coach, to where I'm
Hmm.
given something that can help me in the future.
Right.
Um, yeah, I'm all in for it. But when I'm a player in the NBA and I want to win the NBA championship, I don't give a damn about the NBA Cup. I mean, there's players who don't even care about the All Star game. So why do they
Right.
want to participate in an in-season tournament? And then the other thing that confuses me about it is, you have your 8 finalists. They said,
Hmm.
do the other teams just not play? Because there's not a
Yeah, I
schedule
was
for
wondering about
them.
that too.
There's
I was
not a
wondering about
schedule. You'd have to
right.
then make up a schedule. So do those teams just not play for the week of that thing? Like, I just feel like that causes a very choppy and weird season. Because
Yeah.
again, do you want to be playing extra games for this NBA Cup? And now these teams who didn't
Well,
make the NBA Cup
well,
are having a
technically,
break.
I don't think you get extra games minus the people that's not playing. I think they still the regular season games, but I guess the only other piece, like what you saying, is what happens to those teams when they get to elimination round. What
Right.
do they do?
Do they just not play? Because I'm
Right.
saying maybe you want to have a break from playing. If those count as regular season games, those teams obviously have to make games up. But then that just makes it confusing.
Hmm.
Because then you got to make a schedule and place that whenever you can during the year
Right.
for those. What is it? 24 other teams, or is it
Yes.
30 in the NBA?
It's 30 in the NBA. It's 30.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
30.
22 other teams to
Yeah.
make a schedule. To me, I don't know. I just think it's weird. And to me, with such a long regular season, I just don't. I guess I know why they did it because it's so long and they want people to tune in for something important.
Right.
But I don't even know if the players are going to take it seriously. Like, if I'm being completely honest, like, I think it's just all for, again, there's a spot in time where people may not really be watching and they want
Hmm.
to, maybe in November, the ratings are the lowest. So they're putting this in
It
there.
probably is because you think about November football season starting. You get into October is when playoffs for baseball,
Right.
World Series, stuff like that. So then once the World Series over, November you really getting into football.
Right.
College
Big one.
football is getting big. 'Cause college football don't play as much. So November, because next month is bowl games,
Right.
pretty much. So it's kind of like for me. I mean, because we do a show, I kind of watch the highlights, but I don't watch a lot of NBA games until probably January.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I'm saying?
I'd
Because
rather
it's
watch
like I'm watching
football.
college football, I'm watching football, I'm watching the World Series.
Right. There's a
You
lot going
know,
on.
there's a lot going on. Then hockey starts, so I even get into a little bit of hockey. So it's kind of like I got time for NBA. You know what I'm saying? I gotta divide my time some kind of way.
Right.
So maybe this is the way, like you said, we get eyes on the sport. But to me, when I first heard about it, I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, that's
You know what I'm
exactly
saying?
my
I mean,
reaction.
it didn't get me excited about. Ooh, I was like, I don't care because
Right.
like it sounds stupid to me. How you gonna take a college idea? That's not sound like to me. You taking like the NCAA tournament
Yeah,
and you
and
putting
make
it to the
mini
NBA. That's all it is to me.
Yeah,
And I think you raised a good point. What are you gonna do to the other teams that get eliminated? He's gonna sit on the sideline, and you only playing Tuesdays and Fridays.
right.
Now, unless they schedule it where the Tuesday Friday games are the tournament games only, then the rest of the games are the regular games that people play. but still can't figure out who's not gonna be in it to schedule
Until
it.
it happens.
You know what I'm saying?
You're not gonna know until it happens.
Yeah, you're not gonna know until it happens unless you. I don't know, man. I can't figure out.
Are they gonna push back the playoffs?
Yeah, that's another thing. Are they gonna push back the playoffs?
Because again, you have the regular season that ends on a certain date and the playoffs start.
Right.
So maybe they want to extend the season more without adding more games necessarily. So maybe they take those teams and kind of put it on the back burner. And then right before the playoffs start, it's like, all right, play these games. But then it's confusing with playoff seeding.
Yeah.
Then you got 8 teams that'll land somewhere and they have no room to make up ground, while these teams get to have an extra couple games technically in
Yeah,
play.
especially if you suffer for injury. Say your team is suffering for injury. I don't know about you. I'm like, bump this, man. Let's get out this playoffs. Let's get out this tournament so we can rest. If I get 8 games to rest, I just dog it so I can go ahead and lose the tournament. We can sit down and rest, get healthy. We make a playoff push, a playoff run.
Exactly. What does like the Nuggets next year want to do with the NBA tournament, or the Suns now? They got a bunch of veterans. They don't want to, participate in this tournament.
What's up, Matt?
To me, hey, what's up, Matt? It just makes no sense to me. And again, like if you're not giving the team who wins an incentive and some sort of reward that's going to help you, why do you want to play? Maybe they do where if you win the tournament, you're guaranteed home throughout the playoffs as you make it.
Yeah, something maybe like explain that. That'll make you want to play, but like I still think I saw the issue, like you said. What you gonna do with those teams that once you get to elimination round that's not playing?
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah, they get an unfair advantage because they get the rest.
Right. Again, a lot of contenders would rather rest than play for the NBA Cup. Like we're gonna like talk about teams because they won the NBA Cup in the preseason or the midseason tournament.
What kind of flex is that? I got a participation trophy. That's all.
And I missed the playoffs.
I missed the playoffs, right? You go to the negotiation table. Look, man, I got you to the tournament. We won that. I got the cup. I need some more money. But you ain't get to the playoffs. Hey, but we got the cup though.
Right, you got the cup. Right, and God forbid a star player, goes down with an injury in the Las Vegas NBA semifinals for the NBA Cup. I don't know. To me, it's
gonna happen.
A lot more risk.
It's gonna happen. And you in Vegas, and you get in trouble in Vegas.
Oh man, I don't know.
You can't have Zion down there. You're gonna pick up another hooker.
Another porn star is gonna be
a porn star, right?
John might shoot somebody.
John might share,
or get shot.
Or get shot.
I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how this works out, man. Maybe some things that they haven't discussed yet that we don't know about. I don't know, because I just don't see it. I'm not excited about it. I mean, I'm curious, but I'm not excited.
Correct.
I kind of want to see how it works. I saw I forgot to play that part with the seat, and they show how everybody's seated and who plays against who, and even with that, it was kind of like it's random. I mean,
it's so random.
You should have I'd have had a strategic where you have one like NCAA do. Number 1 seed, it's at the top, then second, third, fourth, all the way down. That's how it should have been. To me, and I was looking at the seating that I can remember. I don't remember it being seated that way.
Yeah. Also, they say they're going to be putting into random groups. The thing with the NBA, and everyone always says, and at least I say, is that the divisions in the NBA are so meaningless because there's nothing. Like, what's the meaning of the seeding in your division? Like, they could have used the divisions as the groups.
Yeah,
like people. I don't know a single NBA division off the top of my head. That's how meaningless they are. Like in the NFL, you have your divisions, your conference, the league. In the NBA, no one cares about the divisions. They care about the seeding at the end of the year for the playoffs, East versus West. What they care about, not their division. So they could use divisions.
It doesn't matter because it's like as long as you the ninth team in that particular either East or the West, you good. No matter where you don't care how you seat in your division.
Yeah,
because that's the play-in tournament. But as long as you got within, what's up, cool? It doesn't even matter, man. So I agree with you. I think that I don't know, man. I think they're trying to do so much to try to get eyes into the game that this is just. I don't think this is it. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be proven wrong. But so far, I don't see the big deal for it. I don't see a reason for it. I don't see how it's gonna work out. Like I said, let's just some things they're not telling us that we don't see.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that we get proved wrong because again, you want to be able to have some more excitement with sports in general. But again,
Yeah,
like timing, situation, the way they kind of set it up, it kind of just seems like a big scramble, and I think it's going to actually take away from the NBA if it's
I
not
think so too.
something that is put together well. Again, if it's a major flop, like everyone talk about it, like that was stupid. There was no
Right.
reason for it. So
You
hopefully it
get
doesn't end up that way.
you get teams like the Pacers. Say you get teams like the Pacers. They get hot in this tournament, and they win or get close to winning it, and then they go back to being irrelevant again.
But we saw Utah this year. Everyone was talking about Utah in the beginning of the season.
Right.
They didn't make the playoffs.
Right. So my thing is, if I'm a team like I use Indiana because everybody forgets about Indiana. So you just seem like the Pacers,
Yeah.
and you win this tournament, you go back to being insignificant because it didn't matter.
Yeah.
You need to get some kind of incentive where if I win it, then I at least get a guaranteed seat in the playoffs or
right, something like that.
Yeah, something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like at least like maybe like you can at least get a playing spot or something if you don't make the playoffs.
Yeah,
Or,
that's a good point too.
something
Cool.
like that. But yeah, like I said, I would rather load manage and not win the cup and have my star players rest.
Yeah,
To me, if you
You'd
don't
be like
get
another
any
summer
significant
league.
reward, right? Exactly. If it's
Summer
not,
league.
if I'm not getting a significant reward, why
Right.
do it? It makes no
Why-
sense.
Why are they doing it? To be honest, the next question: why are they doing this?
I don't know. I'm
It
kind
has
of
to
like
be
what Ant
ratings.
said. It
If
got to
views
be
maybe
ratings.
are down that low in November, like
There's so much
now
stuff
that-
going on around that time. You think about October. You got the MLB. It really picks up. You got playoffs and World Series. Then November, you really into NFL now and college football and hockey. So you compete. You got a lot of competition right there.
Right.
That like I said earlier, I don't even watch NBA halftime till January because so much stuff going on during that part of the time.
It's a long
No.
season.
Yeah, and then bowl season is in December too. So you're
Right.
watching the bowls. Really in January, I'm watching a couple bowl games up until the national championship. Then I kind of kick into NBA. I do watch the Christmas game on NBA, but that's about it.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, the NBA is lucky that they get to play so many games back to back, like baseball, to where because again, football's being played now a week later into the year because the 18th week.
right?
So everyone's watching football. Mostly everyone's watching
Yeah.
football.
For
So
real.
they get to play during the week a little bit. They don't have a Wednesday game for football. They don't have certain days where there's not football games.
Right.
So they get viewership for that. But up until January, February, they're not the major sport watched on any sort of scale. So I mean, I guess that's why they're doing it.
I guess
Maybe
so.
there's no other reason than
All right.
that.
All right, Matt. Let's gonna talk about MLB now.
Shoot it.
So I watched a little bit of the draft. First 3 picks, and I think Paul Skeen from LSU.
LSU.
Hey man, LSU got 2 players and they went 1 and 2.
Yep.
2 players that went 1 and 2. But I think
Just
Paul
coming off a national championship too.
just come from a national championship. So he went to the Pirates. And then you got Dylan Cruz, he went to the Nationals, and then the Tigers picked up Max Clark from out of high school, Franklin High School out of Indiana. The way they talking about schemes, man, they talking about he gonna bring him up soon, quick. He threw for 102 consistently. Well, and I think one game they say he threw it way into the 7th inning. He was still throwing 100.
You know what that tells me?
What's that?
He's gonna throw his arm out soon.
Yeah.
He gonna need Tommy John or something. Throwing that hard, that young. Yeah, you're bound to throw that elbow out. So much torque you're putting on those pitches.
Mm-hmm.
I say the same thing about guys in the MLB. You should not be throwing 100-mile-an-hour sinkers. That's just fucking unbelievable to me. 100-mile-an-hour sinker. Sinker is meant to be off speed and break down and drop on you.
Mm-hmm.
Not be 100 miles an hour and then fucking dropping.
Right.
With that being said, guys that throw that hard, that's why you're seeing more Tommy Johns at a young age.
Yeah,
Your
200
elbow
strike.
ain't your elbow ain't made to make that torque.
And even the older pitchers, like we're seeing with DeGrom and Verlander and
Right.
what's his face from the Mets too, Scherzer.
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 Mhm.
Like
Yep.
again, when you're young, it's a lot of stress, and then when you're older, your elbow can't. Your body's not the same, and
Yeah, it's
to be
not.
throwing that hard, it's ridiculous. The amount of like you said, the torque you put into these pitches, it could really damage your elbow.
And that's why you don't see that's why you see softball players like these women throwing 100 pitches a game, back to back days, 120 pitches because your arm is naturally made to go,
Right, the natural.
Right.
way.
in that movement, not
Right.
up over.
It's a
So
good point.
I give girls a lot of credit because they out there throwing that ball, and you'd be surprised how fast that really is if you're in the box.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's the
seen it.
rising motion instead
Yeah.
of
Yep.
going down.
Here's the thing though, man. You look at how Pittsburgh, they got a lot of young players over there. Young pitching. I think if they use him correctly and not let him throw as much and back up off of that 100 miles, they can build something nice over there, man. They got a nice young pitching staff. You got good
But
rotation over there.
Pittsburgh always trades it away.
Yeah, well.
And, that's just what they do, man. They could develop same thing with Tampa Bay. They develop guys, don't want to pay them, let them walk.
That's true.
So-
That is true. You got a point there.
That's the worst thing in sports is letting people walk with nothing in return.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time. If you know you're not going to get something done with a guy, trade him before you don't. Even if you're not getting as much back as you normally would, like get something back.
Get
Like,
something
you can't
back,
just
right.
let people walk for nothing, especially when they're very valuable players.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. But I mean, that's why, when I hear people talk about players, oh man, they trying to get all this money, blah blah blah. They throw you to the side whenever they can.
Oh yeah.
So as a player, I'm getting as much as I can, especially if I'm pitching or in positions where I know I can get hurt real quick, easily, and season ending kind of thing where I won't play no more. I won't play no more for that year. You get all you can because you coming in and try to get a friendly deal. And in some cases, it's okay. But I'm saying in general, get a friendly team deal, and then that year or the year after that, you're not playing anymore. And now they bringing in the trucks and they pull everything out your house, and they got the little notice on your door, because a lot of times
shit was all good just a week ago.
right, just a week ago. Now now here come the IRS and all them at the crib. So it happens. It's like you've seen stories about like this. I mean, Rick Mahorn is living on the streets, bro. First of all, he's living in a mansion with nothing, with no lights and stuff on like that. Then finally, they finally came and got him out the house and stuff like that. So you have players that this happens to. So you have to get as much as you can to protect you and your family. It's just how it is.
Get it while you can.
Get it while you can, because there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee, especially
in sports where there aren't guaranteed, like football.
Right. You got to. So then, Dylan Cruz going to the Nationals. I mean, he's a great hitter, man. I watched some of his highlights. I watched the LSU Florida game. He looked good, man. He looked good. I don't know how soon they're gonna bring him up. I mean,
it's gonna be a little bit.
If I'm the Nationals, they're not winning that no time soon. Develop them.
Yep.
Develop with that kind of talent, man. You don't want to bring them up too soon and mess them up. If you're a contender or something, I can kind of see it. You ain't winning them for a while. Let them develop.
Yep.
Bring them up, and then start slowly building a nice young roster that you can make a push for the next couple of years down the line.
You don't want to kill his confidence early.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Bring him up when he's ready.
Right.
You don't need him right now.
Correct.
As bad as they are, you don't need anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So develop what you got. Let's see what you got, and then move forward in a couple years and see if it pans out.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's all
I
you
agree
can
with that,
do.
man. Yeah, man. So I don't know if you watched. Did you watch it? The All-Star game. Did you watch the draft at all, Matt?
No, no.
Yeah, I just watched the first 3. You know, here's the thing, and I said this before. NFL has a lock on a lot of stuff, man. When it comes to the draft, NFL does it the best. I'm sorry. They have you hyped for the draft months before the draft even happened.
Yeah, you're talking about the draft mid-season.
Yeah, mid-season, you talking about the draft. Hell, I'm looking at my timeline. They always talking about 2024 prospects.
Already, yeah.
Already. You know, it's just like they should do it better. I mean, look how baseball did it. We in the middle of the season. You talking about draft.
But look how baseball does it too. They have the draft is so open between college and high school.
Right.
You know, and the draft is like days and days long. There's so many goddamn rounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so hard to follow and keep in touch with everything that's, everybody that can be put into the draft.
Right.
It's not a big deal like it is, like you said, like football. Not a big deal like it is basketball.
Right.
Like I said, I don't know much about hockey in their draft, so
I never watched hockey's draft. I mean, I kind of like, besides watching on my timeline who got where, but I never really actually watched it. Even basketball, years ago I used to kind of get into the NBA draft. All I watch now is NFL.
Plus the NBA draft, like last couple of years, there hasn't been like a lot of star-studded names in
That
one
too.
specific draft.
The most
you get
one
a
and
couple, yeah, you
What's
get a
it?
couple good players, and
Yeah.
then the rest is a bunch of I'm not gonna say they're nobodies, because they're getting drafted into the league, but there's no like top other
it's no
big
top picks.
name. Yep,
Yeah.
no top picks, big names that are must
this
sees,
year-
and
This year, once you got past number 5, who was you talking about?
shit. I was gonna say once you get
I think
Yeah.
the Thompson brothers kind of got a little hype.
Yeah.
They was like they're kind of
Yeah.
like in that little sweet spot. So
Yeah.
once you
That's
got past,
about
once you got past number 5, nobody who you talking about? And
Okay.
I think we see the dynamics that's going on with you got the overtime league and you got G League and all that stuff, kind of eating into
What's
some
up,
of their
Bum?
players. Eating into some of their players, you know what I'm saying? NHL drafts are sex. You're right. NFL got the draft on lock. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
They do.
Yeah.
They have a party, bro. You got people talking about getting tickets going to the NFL draft.
Yeah.
How many people you heard talking about I'm getting tickets, I'm going to the NHL draft, or I'm going to the MLB, NBA? You don't hear nobody talking about that.
No. At the NFL, just if I'm being completely honest, and I
Mhm.
think it's what people kind of look over it, just that we're talking about this, and some other things with baseball and basketball, is the NFL, the way it's set up, every game, every pick in the draft, everything matters because of the time frame. You
Yeah.
only have 17 games.
Correct.
And everything you do is so important. Because again, in
Mhm.
the NBA, if you're 5 games behind a team, so what in the beginning of the year? But if
Right.
a team's 0-5, they're not making the playoffs in football.
Mhm.
Every game matters when it comes to football. And again, it being the most popular sport, in our country, and
Mhm.
the way that again the MLB is 60 or 180 games long, whatever it may be.
What, 162, Matt?
162.
Yeah, 162, and then again NBA 82 games.
Right.
Like it's so long. Like even if you love the game, you don't watch everything because it's like, all right, cool, we're good right now, but what's gonna happen? In a couple months after we played another 40 games, it could
Mhm.
be completely different. It's not like football where it's like, all right, we got 17 games, you got to go all out every game because every game
Mhm.
matters.
Right.
And it's just not like that. And again, for the other thing, when you're talking about with baseball, all the minor league teams, basketball, the overtime league, the G League, besides now the USFL and the XFL, which again aren't even taken nearly as seriously as the other things for the other sports.
Mm-mm.
The talent isn't so diluted in football to where it's like you have a bunch of these prospects who are getting drafted. You don't see them for 4 years. There are prospects that will get picked in this draft that will never get called up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, to me, is lackluster. It's not something that's entertaining. And then for the NBA, they only have 2 rounds.
Mhm.
So to me, the NFL, it's just so much more impactful everything in the NFL because of the timeline and how much time that you have with a season.
I agree. And for the record, XFL got USFL beat. I mean,
Yeah, the
it's
USFL was not as big as it was this year. The XFL did great.
they whatever that reboot of the XFL a lot better than USFL. And that's it. A lot of players crossing over.
Yeah,
I
there was a
I
lot.
did not watch. I did not watch one down, one game, 1 second of any XFL or USFL.
Man, I watch it. I'll say this. I'll say this. It's a far inferior product to the NFL. It is. It's a lot of missed tackling. Sometimes you don't get scoring into the second quarter, second half.
Yeah.
But
Not fun.
it kind of fits my football, Jones. I kind of watch it because I want to see some football. And then you do have some players that you kind of that are pretty good or decent, And I like to watch Magoo. I just like his name for one thing. And he's a running quarterback. I keep up with the Michigan Panthers and stuff like that because it's a Michigan team. And so I watch it for stuff like that. But when I look at both products, it's those two. XFL is a lot better product, which I think they have room to grow and be a better product. I don't think they'll never overtake the NFL, but they could be a lot better product where it almost would be a farm system for the NFL.
Yeah, that's what I think they should use it as.
Yeah,
'cause
I think they
don't have
might
to
absorb the
football.
USFL.
I said that they should combine the
They
leagues.
should.
There's no reason why it should be separate.
No.
Again, there's a lot of ins and outs when it comes to money and
Right.
that kind of stuff. But again, that's the one thing about football that I think they don't have down is that there's no sort of farm system
Right.
whatsoever. Because again, we saw Kevontae Turpin from the USFL last year
Mhm.
get meaningful time in
Right.
the NFL this year.
Mhm.
Quarterbacks like Walker and Heineke and these dudes who step in and play meaningful time in the NFL.
Right.
And again, everyone loves football. Everyone, who loves football wants to be able to watch something else after, college and the NFL is over. So I
Correct.
think that there's a big opportunity to combine them and actually make a league to where it's like a G League or a minor league system.
That's what they need to do, bro. I think that's what they need to do, man. I think that is beneficial for both sides. It's beneficial to keep the XFL and USFL relevant.
Mhm.
Because I talked to a lot of different people about it. Very few people watch it, and the ones that do watch it, they just kind of watch it, kind of like I said, get their Jones. It's okay, football here, but not really watching. Where can you name me 3 players? You know what I'm saying? It'd be hard pressed.
Right.
Or can you name me 3 teams? And I think what the advantage that XFL has is too, they actually play in different cities where the USFL plays in one location.
I think that's the stupidest thing.
Yeah, you don't get a chance to endure yourself to that team. They're not playing in your city. They might carry your city's name, but they're not playing in your city.
Right. You're not going to be able to see a game. You have to travel to whatever.
Right. I think they playing
wherever they
Birmingham
play.
or something. Well,
Yeah.
they playing Birmingham last year. I can't remember they played this year, but
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't like that.
How can you market your team that way?
It's silly, man. It's like MJ. This wild card next name.
What up, AP?
Yeah, man. But I want to get back to MLB. I know what De La Cruz, man. You gotta talk about him.
Crazy, man.
Man, I ain't watched the game, but I was in the studio doing some stuff on the computer and stuff. And I looked across, saw something on my feed. He stole second base. I said, oh, okay. So I'm doing something else. He stole third base.
Yeah.
I think, and he still home. I'm like, oh my God. The man is. I mean, I want to speak too early because it's still like you said, Matt, the other day. You got a small sample size, but every time we watch him, he's doing something spectacular. Every time.
Well, listen, O'Neal Cruz was doing the same thing with Pittsburgh, and
Mhm.
that kind of fizzled out.
Yeah,
So,
you're right.
Let this if this kid can, like I said, if he could do this the rest of the season and then show up year 2 doing the same thing, you might got something.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, yeah, he's very flashy, very talented. But let's see. It's a long season.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see what he could do. And him stealing home, that was, part instinct and part the pitcher and team's fault for not paying attention.
Right.
It's not like he was on third, and the guy was in the windup and he blatantly stole home. He stole third and just kind of continued on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he still stole home, but to me, I don't know. There's not a huge wow factor to me as it is everybody else.
Okay.
Because I've seen these phenoms come up.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew Jones, Alex
Yeah.
Rodriguez.
Mhm.
They came up. Bryce Harper came up at young ages and stepped on the scene. So what he's doing is cool, but small sample size, and do this for more than a couple months, and then a couple years, and we'll see where you are.
Okay, you brought up Alex Rodriguez. You don't think he had a good career though?
I'm not saying he didn't. No, I'm saying
Okay,
like
okay, okay.
I've seen young talent come up,
I got you. Okay,
really
okay.
young and step on the scene and have all the hype and then back it up.
I got you. Okay. Okay.
This kid just, they just called him up, and so far he's showing, he's showing he's got talent, but we are only in July 10th, so
Yeah, true.
he's been up for a little over a month.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what he could do going forward, and then, let's see where he is in a couple years.
So, what do you think is this mean for as the Reds of where they stand in their division and where they stand as far as making a playoff run?
I go for it. In the division they are, you gotta be in it to win it this year. You got St. Louis, who I picked to win the division. They're absolutely trash. Milwaukee's not as good as they used to be.
Right.
I picked the Cubs for a wild card. I think I fucked that one up too. So I go for it. Make a move. They got a young team. I don't see them make a lot of noise in the playoffs, because Atlanta's just,
Atlanta's is man. Atlanta's.
the way Atlanta's playing, the way Arizona's playing, you can't count the Dodgers out. Good luck to Cincinnati or anybody else that makes the playoffs, because
It's gonna be rough.
you're gonna have a problem. You're gonna have a problem in the National League.
But you know who's always been my team I always kind of root for on the slide. The Cubs, man. I don't know why. Something about the Cubs I just like. So growing up where I did, we get a lot of Chicago channel. And so I get a lot of Cubs and White Sox games. I always hated the White Sox. I just don't know why. They come on, I'd be like, click them right off. But the Cubs, there's something about the Cubs. I don't know, because, you want to root for them because they always find a way to lose. So it's like, come on, man, it could be this year. Come on, let's do it. Especially when the Tigers wasn't in it. I said, okay. I already tell everybody the Yankees my second team. But, outside of watching them, my national team will be the Cubs. And I just like the Cubs, man. And I don't know why. I can't really give you a definitive answer. Like I said, I don't know, because of the underdog thing. And just want to see them now. I was happy when they finally won. And that one year when and Moses went up for the
Moises Alou.
Alou get the thing.
Steve Bartman.
Yeah, Steve Bartman. Yeah.
Steve Bartman.
And caught the ball. I was like, come on, man, you got to be kidding me. I was rooting for that year, man.
I can't believe he made out the parking lot, man.
Me either, man.
Man,
I just knew that was gonna be the Cubs year that year.
Yeah, it looked like it.
And he had to leave Chicago though. I think he went to Florida somewhere. I can't remember where it's at, but he had left Chicago for a while.
That's what I said. He's lucky, lucky to make it out of Chicago that night. What?
So having brought that up, do you have a team? Either one of y'all have a team that y'all kind of secretly root for outside of y'all main team?
Not really for baseball.
I'll let you go, Hank. Go ahead.
All right, not really for baseball. I always just like the Yankees, but I remember for basketball, I used to always root. Well, here's the two thing. My first 2K I ever got was 2K14. So LeBron was on the cover. So I like the Heat in the East, even though I was a Thunder fan. I mean, no, we lost to him, but I liked them, but I also liked the Pacers for a while because
Really?
I really liked Paul George. Like Paul George
Okay.
was one of my
Okay.
favorite players. He was on the cover of 17, and I made my career team. I was for the the Pacers or whatever. And then when he went to the Thunder, I was
Mhm.
so happy because I'm like, oh, Paul George on my team. So I
Right.
mean, for me, it's kind of like on and off. Like I feel like everyone has those teams where it's like you like a player or
Mhm.
you like a coach or something that's going
Right.
on
Right.
there, and you root for them besides your team. Like I've been
Mhm.
rooting for the Lakers since the Thunder haven't really been good. I'll root for the Lakers. I'll
Okay.
root for the Knicks. My grandpa's a Knicks fan. For
Okay.
football, my grandpa's a Giants fan.
Okay.
Most of my family's a Giants fans. So I'll root for the Giants. I'm not rooting for the Saints. So that's kind of my thing.
AP, you may that's not really a hot take. I mean, you got a point there. I mean, it's a possibility to say that. But go ahead, Matt. What about you?
I bet you they won't. Even though I did pick them to win the wild card. No, I'm still going with Old Faithful until they prove me wrong. Teams I've rooted for, like I've always followed the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Always had a lot of my friends were Steeler fans, and
Mhm.
they weren't the arrogant type fans. They were the same thing.
Right.
Like they rooted for the Giants when Pittsburgh wasn't in
Mhm.
in the playoffs or got knocked out, and vice versa. Baseball, always been true to my Yankees, but
Okay.
always followed the Diamondbacks.
Okay.
You know, my late father, when he retired, he moved out to Arizona in '02.
Okay.
And so obviously, he got into following them, watching them. He was still a diehard Yankee fan, watched them too, but
Mhm.
got more into Arizona professional sports. Just
Right.
because it's out there, and on the TVs. Basketball always been Knicks, nobody else. So I'm just not a big NBA fan. College basketball is where I'm all over the place because diehard Arizona fan, but
Mhm.
then grew up 10 minutes from Rutgers.
Mm.
And also being a Florida Gator fan for football, I've always followed them too in basketball. So all over the place, basketball and football, college wise.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
but for the most part,
AP trolling. AP trolling, man.
He wasn't even alive the last time the Orioles won the World Series. Put it that way. Only me and you were, Mel.
Yeah, I remember that too. But here's the thing, man. For me, man, unfortunately, I lived in a city where football wasn't king. You know what I'm saying? And so when it came to football, I would root for teams like that maybe Michigan players went to. Like one time I did root for the Patriots because Ty Law, and Tom Brady and all of them was on there.
See,
And
I'm so like I like rooting for players more than actual other teams.
Yeah,
right.
the team itself, yeah.
Like I was always a diehard, Barry Sanders fan.
Yeah.
Big Barry Sanders fan, growing up. So, so you just have rooting interest for that guy, and then, back then we didn't have internet like we do now, so it was hard to
keep up with him. Yeah. Yeah, but see, like for me, okay, so I know people who are Michigan State fans, and I know people who are Michigan fans, although I know more Michigan fans than Michigan State fans. And they'll move out of state. So if Michigan State playing somebody, if Michigan playing, they'll root for them. I don't do that. If Michigan State playing somebody, I hope they get their ass kicked. I want to see them get drugged. You know what I'm saying? I don't root for no Ohio State nothing.
Mm-mm.
I don't care if Ohio State was playing underwater basket weave. I hope they drown. I don't root for Ohio State nothing.
Yeah, that's one thing. There's certain teams where it's like you might want them to win, but then there's just some teams you're like, I don't care who they play, I don't care what the circumstances are, I want them to lose. I agree with you 100%. I like Penn State for football.
Okay.
So, yeah, man.
So I can root for Penn State.
It's like whenever Ohio State plays a team, like when they lost to Notre Dame, my friend is an Ohio State fan, bro. I rubbed it in like you can never even believe because you just don't like certain teams.
Yeah, it's just something about I can't do it, man. I just can't do it.
Mel, me, everything New England area, everything Philly area,
Yeah, I can
and
understand
then
that.
and then the Cowboys. Like,
I can't. Oh yeah.
Oh,
No.
that's one
and
team.
That's a neutral team. We all
Yeah.
can get
you know what I mean? Like,
Universal team that no one likes.
and the sad part is, like, even the Redskins, like, yeah, they're in my division, but they're the fucking Redskins. You know what I mean? Like, what's the hate? Like, they do it to themselves.
And, here's the crazy thing too. So, because I think this is kind of good discussion. 'Cause I like to see what fans, other fans talk about. But so, I've been in a lot of Lions discussion rooms and stuff, and you get a lot of Bears trolls in there. And I never disliked Chicago. I just didn't. I just like, okay, it's just another team. I mean, of course, I want to beat them if we play them. I never disliked Chicago. I never disliked the Vikings. Always hated the Packers. But it's so I didn't realize till I actually started doing this how many Chicago and Minnesota fans hate Lions fans.
Yeah.
I was like,
It
really?
I guess it just comes with the territory.
Yeah, I guess it did. Yes, it does. But I can care less about. I mean, I rooted for the Vikings when they had like Moss and you know what I'm saying, and Carter and
Culpepper.
Culpepper. I rooted for them then. I was like, yeah, I could root for them. It was in my I remember when Tampa Bay was in our division. You know what I'm saying? So
when the Arizona Cardinals were in the division with the Giants.
Yeah. So I remember those days.
Man, you guys are old, bro.
Yeah.
There's sometimes I just sit here and I'm just like, yeah, what he said.
Hey, do you remember when Houston Astros were in the National League?
No, I was born in 2004.
Oh wow. There's a lot of stuff you won't remember. I remember.
No, I'm knowledgeable of things because I read up on stuff, but like the common knowledge for you guys from back then, like I have not a single clue. Like
Yeah,
it's
you know
just
what?
I'm so young compared to you guys. Like it's hard to kind of because those things really aren't brought up as much.
Yeah.
'cause
But
there's so much social
you're
media stuff
very
current.
You're
might
very
be young, but
knowledgeable, man. That's good.
Yeah,
And I
very
think
knowledgeable, very smart.
I think
You
that's
know?
that's the thing right there. I can admire about a person because like when we grew up, it was newspaper and books that you got most of your information from, and then when Sports Center came along, it was Sports Center. Now you got the internet.
And it wasn't even like the Sports Center it is like nowadays.
Yeah.
It would just like one set time, like let's say like 6 o'clock and
Right.
11 p.m.
Right.
That was it. There was
That was
no
it.
all day
Went all day.
24/7.
Yeah,
Right.
with like 17 different shows from ESPN.
Right. But now you have access to so much information that it kills when people say, "Well, you older me out." I say, "Bro, I knew stuff my grandma knew about because she brought up, she taught it to us."
Right,
now
right.
you have the internet.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some things I can understand, but some things I'm like, if I'm into sports, so I'm gonna look up a lot of statistics. Like back when Toronto Maple Leafs won 4 in a row, I wasn't born in.
Right.
But I know it because I looked it up.
Yeah. If you want to know to where we live today, no matter what it is, if you want to be knowledgeable, you just look it. You have to look for it. Again, you could follow things on social media or just look at articles. You can do a lot of things now, especially with sports.
Especially with sports.
To learn into stuff like that. So I like to try to keep up when it comes to some older knowledge. Because again, if you only know things from because again, like I'm a Saints fan. So my first year watching football was 2009. They won in 2009 because I was 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
I think I was 5 years old. Yeah, 5 years old. I played football my first year with the team called the Saints. So I kind of gravitated to the Saints. And they happened to win this year. So I'm like, yay. But like I don't hate none of the teams in my division because I really didn't watch football when the Saints weren't the best team in that division almost every year. Like when Drew Brees is my quarterback, like, we had some down years, but we weren't at the bottom of the division.
Yeah, we talk about them Braves, cool.
Bottom of the division. So it's like I didn't have those times where like the old school Saints fans were getting beat up every year, and they don't
with
like
the bags on their head.
Yeah, like they didn't have
the Craig Hayward, Dalton Hilliard days.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Iron Man, right?
Yeah, so I mean, like I look up for things like that, but like I don't hate none of the teams in my division really because there hasn't been a time where I feel like we've been the bottom team of the division. Like when the Falcons were in the Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see him beat Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to see
Right.
him win.
Right.
The only time I really didn't like a team was because Cam Newton was cocky. I wanted to always beat Carolina. But I even now, like, I go to Montclair State, so Sam
Mhm.
Mills is my guy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Played for the Saints.
Right.
Yep.
Play for the Panthers. So it's
Right.
kind of like I don't really hate no team in my division because I don't have as much of like a historical like bad side of my team. My team's always
Mhm.
been relevant for as long as I've been a fan of football.
Well, let
So-
me ask you a question. Let me ask
Go
you a
ahead.
question, Ed. Do you know like a lot of Panthers fans, Falcons fans, Buccaneer fans?
Not really. My uncle's a Buccaneers fan, but again, I live in the Northeast. I live in New Jersey, so it's like I'm not surrounded by a bunch of those fans.
Mhm.
And when I do see those fans, it's more of like a joking manner with them because it's again our teams aren't nowhere near located where I live. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
The
right.
most arguments I get into with football is I get into arguments against like Cowboys fans and stuff because I'm a
They
Giant supporter. You know
all
what I'm
over
saying?
the
So
way.
I'll
They
back
all over
up
the place.
right. So I'll back up the Giants because again, like that's a team that I root for. But the
Mhm.
Saints, I tell people I'm a Saints fan. I think it's cool I'm a Saints fan because it's
Right.
not from nowhere around,
Right.
where I'm from. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not something. It's not something you would expect to hear from a kid from Jersey. You know what I mean? Especially Central Jersey. Oh, I'm a New Orleans Saints fan. Huh?
Right.
Really?
yeah.
Like what?
All right. Cool.
So AP brought up this point. Before we close out, this will be last thing we talk about. What's the biggest rivalry in college football or baseball? MLB.
Did he say? Is it? Didn't you say? Is it bigger in?
You know,
think
he said you
bigger
think is
rivalry.
the
It's college.
what do you think the
college.
biggest rivalry is in
Well,
college football?
Well, the comment he wrote was that do we think it's bigger?
Yeah,
bigger
I know he
rivalry
wrote,
in
but I'm taking
Yeah,
his
well-
comment and
take a step further.
taking a step further.
Yep. College football. I'm going to answer both of them. College football has better rivalries now because
Okay.
baseball doesn't have that Boston, New York, attitude anymore.
Okay.
Things are a lot more broader. Football, you have to say you got to mention your Penn States, your Michigans, like I say, your Ohio States, your Michigans, your Penn States, your Alabamas. Those are big rivalry games. Auburn,
Right.
Alabama, they hate
Oh,
each other.
yeah.
Absolutely
Right.
hate each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when you get that much blood boiling, just
Mhm.
like Anthony knows, he's in college right now, so
Mhm.
he knows college is a whole different type of tension than it is,
Right.
like on a professional level. Like college, it's you're young, you got that testosterone, you're
Mhm.
fucking you're you're ready to you're ready to roll.
Right. Right.
Football, it's like, all right, I got my money, now I'll just
Yeah.
sit back, talk my shit. You know what I mean? But in college, you got something to prove.
Yeah, school
You're
spirit.
trying to get somewhere. If you're trying to achieve a goal, whether it be in sports or whatever it is, you're gonna go all out in college
Right.
to try to ensure that happens for your future.
Yeah.
Now, so it'd be sports, yeah, sport rivalries, they're big in college football,
Yeah, I
real
agree.
big. I think that blows everybody out the water.
I agree.
You
Let's
know,
say you
it-
Ant, what do you think the biggest rivalry is?
Out of those two we just said, I agree with MJ. College football is so much more than professional anything because, like we say, a lot of dudes, get their money. You have little spurts of rivalries, like who's good in the playoffs. They play each other. Those kind of things. Like Cavs Warriors. Obviously was a rivalry, but it's not. There's nowhere near the same as college because again, like you said, you're proving something in college. You're trying to get somewhere, no matter what division you play. Those rivalries, everywhere because again, it's the school spirit. It's people.
Right.
When they talk to people, where you go. Like for me, Montclair State, Kane, TCNJ, like those kind of schools.
Right.
It's like, oh, we just beat you this year, whatever. It's like, it's a rivalry. So again, these big schools that have been around forever, your Notre Dame and Ohio State game, that kind of stuff. It's not the same as like a Giants Redskins or a Giants Cowboys. Like you don't like each other, but pro I just feel like it's so much different than we're trying to prove something in college.
I agree.
He got a girl, bro. He got a girl.
Yeah.
So he's got his head on straight.
His head on straight. He good.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
sir.
agree with what all y'all said. I think college is a lot bigger rivalry than professional. When it comes to who I think has the biggest rivalry, I mean, Matt, you named them all. I mean, the one I wish would kind of reunite is the Florida State Miami. I used to love that rivalry.
Oh boy.
Now it's so insignificant
Man,
because they both
you
irrelevant.
ain't
Yeah, they
you
both
ain't
haven't
lying,
been
bro.
powerhouses in a while,
Right.
from my knowledge. You know, they haven't
Bro,
been.
my Miami through the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Bro.
Man, that used to be a good rivalry, bro. I used to love watching that game. Like I had missed a few things. Like I gotta watch the game. I catch y'all later. You know what I'm saying? So I can watch that. Those are some good rivalries. Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Auburn, was it Oklahoma and Oklahoma State? Hell,
Yeah,
Texas Tech.
Oklahoma and Texas, they always got the
Yep.
Red River
Red
rivalry,
River.
right?
Yep.
That's what it's called.
Yeah. So now it'd be interesting how they gonna kind of keep that going with them in the SEC. You know, we'll see.
I feel like I've missed a lot, you know, like good sport rivalries and stuff. Because sports now is just so much different than, you know.
That's the
than
thing,
it
though.
used to be.
No, because people say like, oh, you know, I like it back.
Oh, I'm saying, hold on,
then.
wait a minute. Let me clear this up. I keep
Go
saying Notre Dame and Ohio State. I meant Michigan, Ohio State. I don't know why I kept saying Notre Dame.
Well,
So
that's
just
all
clear
right.
that up. I don't know why I said
Well,
Notre Dame.
Michigan, and Notre Dame have a good rivalry back.
Yeah,
in the
I'm
day,
talking
too.
about Michigan, Ohio State. I don't know why I kept saying Notre Dame. I meant Michigan, Ohio State. That's my fault.
Well, a lot of people used to know they're complaining about, oh, you know, back in the day it was better, and then some of the other people say, well, no, it's better now because you know it's not as much, you know, this stuff going on. But here's my thing: when it comes to rivalry, old school rivalry is better.
Yep.
All this, you know, we all cool stuff like that. We can be cool, just not on the field.
Nope.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
And
a lot
after
more
the
less
season's over
physical,
with,
in my opinion. It's not as like taken as seriously.
yeah.
Because again, like the eras, and again, I feel like social media has a lot to do with it as well. Everyone's more kind of like happy and not as, you know, aggressive towards other people. Because again,
Right.
you see, you know, clips of basketball and football, you know, jersey swaps, stuff like that. Like you didn't, I
Yeah.
don't, you know, yeah, I feel like it's just so much different the way it's
Can you
perceived.
imagine like Bird and Jordan swapping jerseys at the end of the game?
Oh hell no, hell
You know
no.
what I'm saying?
Anybody from the Pistons, Celtics,
Right.
I'm
Lakers,
saying
like back
Pistons,
then.
yeah.
Yeah, you know,
No.
anyway, swiping up.
The only thing you swapping is punches.
That's it.
You know.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
completely different. So I feel like rivalries today in professional sports doesn't have that drive like a college sport
Right.
was, because there's none of that like really.
Ooh, come on, Ant. Come on, we gonna go there?
Mm,
That wasn't really well. We ain't gonna get into that. That wasn't really a rivalry.
yeah, that's that could be a whole.
That's a whole rabbit hole.
That's a whole show. That's a whole show in itself.
That's a whole
bro.
show by itself right there.
But yeah, I just don't
Yeah,
think
but,
the rivalries are the same no more.
I don't either.
But I'm East Coast, AP. I'm East Coast.
I'm a Pac man. I've always been Pac man. Always been Pac. But I say this though. I noticed when you had this discussion, and I'm not gonna go too far into it, we had this discussion. Most people, and this is just a generalization, but most people who pick Biggie are East Coast people. Especially those who are in New York, Jersey area. They mostly go, you hardly ever hear most of them say Tupac. They always say Biggie. And then anybody outside of that, then this is kind of a toss up. But in that area right there, that New York, New Jersey, and to a degree, some Philly, they all pick Biggie. You know?
No, you're right, but don't get me wrong. Like I like Tupac shit. You know, I have nothing against it, but I'm just you know, I'm born and raised on the East Coast, so that's where that's where I lie with that. You know, it's not like I fuck Tupac, you fuck the West Coast. It was me. It wasn't like that. It was he made good music, and then
yeah, that's how I was too.
Shit went sideways with Puffy, and then everybody. It was everybody that was all the puppets behind Tupac and Biggie that made that shit the way it was.
Pretty much, that's all it was.
It wasn't them two that had the beef. It turned into that,
Yeah, like I said, that's a rabbit hole. We talk about how Puffy manipulates a lot of stuff. And we can go on. That's a whole nother show.
Puffy, Suge, and that whole
right.
Shit,
It should. Well, great show, fellas, man. I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate the help. It's always good
sorry
talking
for hopping on late, man. I had
that's all right,
I had to get my son, get him situated at home and stuff.
Hey man, I appreciate you coming on when you came on, man. You know, I had to get my baseball fix when you get on, you know. And
Well, anytime, man.
and,
Anytime.
and man, I appreciate you, man.
Of course.
It's been fun, been interesting. Hey man, once I'm gonna say this too before we get off too. One thing I can say about you, hey man, if besides that you look young, but if you didn't look young, just by you talking sports, you sound like you was up here with me and MJ. You know what I'm saying? You're very knowledgeable. And that's always good when you talk about sports, somebody that's really informed about what you're talking about. I gotta stop and say, hold on, let me explain this to you. Hold on, let me explain this to you. You know what I'm
very,
saying?
very, very in tune in a lot of
Right,
subjects. You know,
right.
definitely
Yeah.
more in tune than I was at that age, like knowledgeable
real.
wise. You know, what I
I
mean?
try my best. Listen, I don't want to sound like an idiot when I'm speaking, so
There you go.
No,
That's it right there. That's
and I
it.
know sometimes I do sound like an idiot, you know, but
Sometimes I
the way
just
it
do it on
goes.
purpose. So, you know.
That's the way it goes, man. You know, once you get older, like you realize, like fuck it, you know, like it is what
Yeah,
it
that's
is,
true
man.
too.
You know,
But
once you
hey,
reach that point, you know, you'll know.
well, yeah, good show, fellas. I appreciate everybody that tuned in, everybody that got into the chat, everybody's just out there listening. Hey, hit that like button while you out there. Help that algorithm. You know how YouTube be doing. You know, they always wanted to hit the like and all that stuff. Share with somebody. Until next time, we'll see y'all on Thursday. Same bat time, same bat station. Go ahead.
Hey, did you you give a shout out to Lamar?
Oh yeah, thanks, man. Oh yeah, shout out to Lamar. He got a new addition to the family. You know what I'm saying? Congrats to him.
All right, Lamar.
Yeah.
All right,
Lamar, you know, he gonna be paying college tuition until he die. All those kids he got, but you know.
he learned from you, bro. Learned from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You taught him well. You taught him well, Mr. Miyagi.
He should have ran. Well, all mine are grown, so thank God for that. But anyway,
that's a good thing, man. That's a good thing.
Appreciate you, fellas. All right, till next time.
Yes, sir.
Peace.